Well, this is it. The final ranking video for Wave 6. And the only one, I guess I worded it like it was, no, it's the only ranking for Wave 6, but the final ranking video for Wave, no, I was gonna say that again, of the Booster Course Pass ranking series. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Opinion Corner. This is a series where I sit in front of a mic and I talk about whatever's on my mind today. And what's on my mind is, well, I've kind of talked about it, Wave 6 of the Booster Course Pass of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I said it out of order, but it works out, I guess. The last 8 courses are finally out. It's really nice to see all of the courses filled in, all with their own icons and all. And what a finale, honestly. I didn't know what to feel when I saw the last 8 courses. If you watched my live reaction video, I mentioned that I thought this wave was going to be kind of there. But yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised with the courses that I played. I'll go into them in a bit, but first, for those who are new, basically this sort of video is going to cover my rankings on the course. The way I rank courses is more so just like what I feel they add to the game, what I personally think. A lot of this is going to be very subjective, but I'm going to try and bring up points that I have observed from my first thoughts as a semi-casual, semi-competitive player. I don't really like calling myself a competitive player because it's like, I'm not a pro player, but I definitely use higher level strats whenever I race, right? So it's this weird mix, and I also don't want to talk like I'm a pro player and I know immediately how this is gonna play in competitive. This is kind of just like a lower level perspective, I guess. But that's something I look for as well whenever I rank the courses, which is why I rank Toad Circuit so high. And that's kind of the stuff to expect from my ranking series. After the ranking, I will be talking about the characters, and I'll be discussing about what class they are, how they might be online, for example, my own personal thoughts on the meta, because there actually weren't balance changes at all. There was only like invincibility frames, so there's not really that much to say. I'll like bring up some points there maybe. I was originally going to do a retrospective, but I think I might just make that its own video. And then the third point that I'll be talking about is some of the other changes, because there were some pretty interesting moves that Nintendo made for this final balance patch. There are some features that I thought were pretty cool, and some that I think are worth discussing in this discussion video. Then as usual, I look forward to seeing what you guys think in the comments, so let me know, share your thoughts as this video goes on, or after the video ends. Yeah, I guess when the video ends, that's probably the best time to do it. Anyway, I've been rambling long enough. Let's get to the first course of the Acorn Cup, and that would be Tor Rome Avanti. I think someone posted like a pronunciation in the comments of my last video, so apologies if I butchered it. So I mentioned before that I've only played it like maybe once or twice when that was in Tor, and the first lap was kind of what I remembered. The next two were big surprises. Like there was a chain chomp section that I thought was really cool, like a lot of little obstacles that help keep it diverse. You can also trick on them too. I don't know if I have tricking footage when I recorded the blind reactions, but you can do that. I thought that was cool. The visuals look pretty good. I like driving on it. There's a couple roundabouts around like a fountain thing that I thought were kind of weird, but who knows, maybe that's something I'll get used to. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty standard course. It's on par for Tor. There's not really that many crazy shortcuts. So I think these Tor courses usually lean more onto the front-running side, which, you know, this game needed more of. Oh yeah, there's also this section where there's like a fuzzy circle, and then you can trick on the Monty moles that pop up. That's a cool little obstacle. I don't actually remember if this was an obstacle that we've seen before. I think the Monty moles are new. I know the chain chomps are definitely new. Chain chomps biting into the track itself, I think that's really cool. There's another backward section in this course, which is kind of hit or miss for some people, but I personally kind of like that feature. I think it's kind of cool. It makes the course feel more distinct when it actually changes compared to like taking a new route. I kind of like the flip where it's like, oh, now we're going backwards. Going through the same course, but differently. In this case, going backwards. There are a couple of weird turns, especially with like those fountain things that I mentioned. Like the lining coming out of them feels weird, but that might just be like an inexperienced thing. Another thing that I might have to test and check out. There are a couple cuts that you can do, especially at the end where you can take the turn a little tighter and then make it to the finish line, which I like. I like that little comeback section. When I'm not the one doing it, I guess I wouldn't like it. So yeah, it's there. I think that's cool having options, especially for like online stuff. Give players more chances to come back in this front running course. So it's not exactly like as heavy front running, but so it could definitely be worse. But again, that's something that I need to play more of the course of to really figure that out. So that's it really, I think, of the course. I think going through the course visually is nice. I like the nighttime aesthetic. The layout didn't get super confusing, but yeah, I don't know, it just feels like a more standard tour course that doesn't really stand out to me besides that. So I think I'll give this course a 7.5 out of 10. Again, cool things that I really like driving over the Coliseum and then through the Coliseum with the chain chomps. Those ideas are pretty cool. I like the Monty Mole part, but other than that, it's just kind of driving and getting through some crazy twists and turns. Like, it's fine. I realize I say that a lot. Next up is GCN DK Mountain. Yes, GCN, GameCube Nintendo, I know what that is. Okay, bit aside, this is a course from Mario Kart Double Dash, and now that I've worded that better than the last video, I will talk about my experience with Mario Kart Wii. So yeah, as I said previously, this course is one of the toughest courses to play consistently in that game. So I didn't really think much of it, and then with the worry of there being a fence over the gap cut, I realized that besides the boulders, this course doesn't really have that much depth. You're kind of just going down a slope. There's like 2 trick ramps and then it's more slopes. And I realized how, if that was all the course was gonna have, if it does remove the gap cut, then I wasn't really that excited for it. But then I looked at the tour gameplay, and some of you guys tried to gaslight me. I saw that tour kept the gap cut, but, well, you couldn't do it because it's tour. But there is no fence. I mean, there is some. The aligning is definitely different, and in my opinion, it's probably the hardest it's ever been to take the gap cut on DK Mountain, but it's still there. And not only that, they also added a couple extra obstacles like barrels and some quick grass cuts if you want to take the turns tighter, which I think is really nice. And they also made the bridge the best it's been, allowing you to trick on it and it feeling overall more stable, funnily enough, despite it definitely being a lot more wavy. Textures wise, it looks like they tried to apply more of some of the base 8 grass textures I've noticed. Like, you can see the grass and the cloves and stuff more when you look at it up close. I'm realizing I'm talking about textures, but I don't really pay attention to them that much in these rankings. But another thing that I noticed that I really liked is the mountain textures. I thought those were really cool. But yeah, they removed the wooden ramps from, I know they were in Wii. It's been so long since I've tried it back in Double Dash. But I want to say if they were in Wii, they were probably in Double Dash as well. And they removed that. I think that benefits the course a little more, in my opinion. I kind of like how the mounds on that section of the mountain are more detailed. Distinct detail. I'm not sure what to describe it, but yeah, I like that way more than it just kind of being little humps in the floor. That's the observations I really found. I think that's everything. Course track, differences, gap cut's still there. Probably the hardest this specific gap cut has been, but I think it's the easiest gap cut in the past, considering stuff like Mushroom Gorge and Snowland. But yeah, DK Mountain, it surprised me. I think keeping my expectations pretty low, even knowing that Tor didn't remove the gap cut, I still was pretty skeptical, but I'm glad I was cautiously, can't say I was really optimistic. Anyway, 8 out of 10. I think it's good. Very fun course to drive on. Third up, Daisy Circuit. It is Daisy Circuit. Oh, with the ramp. Yeah, this course didn't really change that much. There's not really much to improve here, I don't think. There are also boost panels on the edge with the roundabout near the lighthouse. I've seen some people mention that now taking it wide might actually be worth it since, you know, it's not super out of your way. They also added a piranha plant cutout in front of the shortcut. I think we saw this in the first trailer, maybe the second one. But yeah, that's another difference they added. That part's also a glider ramp. I think that makes it pretty fun to take. A lot more fun than in Wii, I guess. I'm really looking for things to talk about. Oh yeah, the cones are also more inside now, and they also don't apply random speed modifiers to your vehicle anymore, which is a plus. One nitpick I guess I can say is The sidewalks feel a little too small for the carts, but you could also argue that this is a sort of challenge where you are rewarded for being careful and managing to stay on the sidewalks. I think that could also add a little bit of depth. I'm not sure if the red shells can go through, so then you'd have like time to wait it out. There's also an item box there, so if you stay on that part of the sidewalk long enough, you can get an item box. If the second place is currently waiting for you to get off so that they can use a red shell on you, then you can use that box, potentially roll for a banana or defense item before you get off, and then you can keep that red shell at bay. They'd have to hold it until something else happens within the course. There's interesting amount of theory crafting that I just came up with for that one sidewalk, for that one interaction. So you know what? Maybe this course isn't so dull after all. I think it's got some interesting things that can bring, at least for like those sort of strats and techniques in mind games. Other than that, it's a very inoffensive course. It is, well, like I said, Daisy Circuit, 7 out of 10. And lastly, but certainly not least, for the Acorn Cup, the last course is Piranha Plant Cove. And oh my god, this course is not only so fun visually and thematically, but it plays really well here. This course is so fun and adds a bunch of different elements and track variations that I think helps keep the course fresh the whole way through. The underwater sections are also really fun to dive in with the pyramid sections, and the fact that you start so high up so you can even just fly over the off-road sections. I'm not entirely sure how optimal that is, but it is very funny to pull off. Yeah, I was very impressed with the course design here. It is amazing. I think it pulls off a theme really well and then implements that into the gameplay just as strongly. One small nitpick I guess I could say about the course is on lap 3, the arrows are not super clear. They cover like the middle of the straight pathway instead of all of it, which I don't know why they didn't do that. So it looks like you can go through that if you're not paying attention. You're kind of just autopiloting through the course. But once you know it's there, it's easy to just know, okay, I just have to turn left on the start of lap 3. But yeah, that's just something I noticed. I thought I'd point it out. Other than that, really, really fun course. I think this is a 9 out of 10 for sure. This course deserves that 9 out of 10. Okay, let's move on to the Spiny Cup. And that first course is Tour Madrid Drive. Before I forget, I just want to throw that out there. They add a lot of ideas to this course with the art gallery. There's a little marketplace with the thwomps. What is with cities and adding thwomps to their course? What is their goal here? But yeah, art gallery, soccer field, all that sort of stuff. They implement like existing elements like the piranha plant chomping at you, but give it a fresh coat of paint that is really nice. Another thing I also have to praise this course for is I don't think that the arrows are that misleading in this course. This is an issue that I know a lot of people had with tour courses, and some of the people that I've talked to that also had this issue with the tour courses, they also agreed that this course did a much better job at guiding the player. And yeah, good on them for making a tour course that feels straightforward and brings a lot of cool ideas, very clear, very fun. Yeah, visually, it's fun to drive through and kind of sightsee, and I basically kind of covered all I really wanted to talk about for this course. The soccer part, in theory, feels kind of annoying. I haven't had issues with it yet, but it's gonna happen eventually. But I'm not gonna knock off points for it because, A, first impressions, it hasn't happened, so I'm not going to knock it off for that. But there is that slight worry. We'll just have to see as the game progresses, and when I do my big supercut video of me revisiting all of these courses. Stay tuned for that, by the way. It's gonna be on the main channel. Quick mid-video plug instead of being at the end this time. But anyway, back to the course. Yeah, whenever I revisit it for that video, maybe my thoughts will change. Maybe the soccer parts are actually not that bad to go through. That's also something I guess I'll figure out whenever I time trial, if I time trial it. The tour courses aren't really that fun to time trial, I feel. But yeah, I don't know. That feels like a pace lock part of the course. Though, I do have to say, this course is cool. 8.5 out of 10. Alright, next up, we have Rosalina's Ice World. Probably the most divisive pick I've seen for this wave. Because I saw some people really like Rosalina's Ice World being added, and a lot of people asking why it's even here. But in my case, this was something that I voted for in the one course that I wanted to see in the Booster Course Pass. But to be honest, I'm surprised I didn't pick Wario. I guess my appreciation for Wario Shipyard has evolved over time. So at the time, I guess Rosalina's Ice World makes sense. But now, I think I would have formulated my 3DS pick a little differently. But as someone who shared a lot of similar opinions with the staff at Nintendo that picked some of the courses, I guess I'm gonna try to decipher what this course is doing here, I guess. First of all, I think the only change I think is there's a ramp shroom cut near the end where you can cut the turn a little and get a trick boost right before you enter the next lap or finish the lap in lap 3 scenario. I'm gonna double check that right now. 3DS Rosalina's Ice World gameplay. Yep, that is a new addition. Also, I realized that the planet in the background was also in the 7 version, which I thought they added for 8. I guess it's not that easy to see on 7's little 240p screen. But yeah, in relation to that point, I feel like in this version, now that it's on a bigger screen, I feel like you can see some more of the decorations and some of the little props that they added to the course a lot better and a lot easier than on 3DS. So that's the differences. I guess let's talk about the track itself. It is pretty much the same as ever. Besides that, I think the shroom cut helps add a little bit of suspense at the end. Does second place have a shroom behind me? Sort of like the Rome Avanti situation that I talked about earlier in the video. And then there's a little bit of depth with the middle section, where on lap 1, it's a lot easier to be on the ice platform. And lap 2 and 3, that part melts so that you have to have a mushroom or something I learned recently, you can move on the side ramps, get enough speed, and make it through there. So there's a little bit of tech to get that top route. I think that's really cool. Something I'll probably have to practice if that does end up being faster, because I'm still not sure which side is faster. Maybe underwater might be, because I'm pretty sure every single meta combination's ground speed is slower than all the other speeds, anti-grav, underwater, that sort of thing. But who can say? World record people probably already figured it out. I haven't really seen too much of the time trials for this course, but that's something to look forward to, I guess. And yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but the icicles, there feels like there's a lot less in the cavern section once you enter that. Other than that, that's all I really notice about the course. One of the big reasons why I picked this course for my wish list was that it looked visually pleasing, and I thought it would look even better in 8, and I wasn't disappointed. Unsurprisingly, the ice course looks nice. The aesthetics are just great, but yeah, I wish they added a little more Rosalina stuff to the course. Just add that little depth while they're revisiting this course, right? It's cool, it's fun. I think 8 out of 10. It's like a low 8 for me, I think. It stands out pretty well. I'm glad this is here, but Wario Shipyard deserved better. I'm just gonna keep bringing up Wario Shipyard. Alright, now we're getting to the fun stuff. SNES Bowser's Castle 3. Now, I just time trialed this a couple of times just last night, so I have a couple more things to talk about for this course, because it is relatively short, which kind of sucks as the only Bowser's Castle rep. I think a lot of people were saying, oh, you know, it makes sense because Wii Rainbow Road, get a Bowser's Castle to go before it. Visually, I think this is the elephant in the room. This is one of the biggest glow-ups I think I've ever seen from a SNES course. It completely reimagines what the original course was, flips it, turns it around, adds a bunch of these little slopes and sections. Actually a huge delight to go through. Course layout, another thing that I have a couple things that I want to point out. One of the things that I want to talk about is the placement of the off-road, which I think are very cleverly situated. There's one near the start, which takes you into the tighter lane more easily. It's also a lot thinner to kind of add that extra challenge, since this is probably the faster lane. And then they even added a little bit of the grid floor here. I'm not exactly sure what that's called, but on specific paces, a lava geyser will pop up, adding even more challenge to taking that path, which all of these combined, I think adds for a lot of depth for this course. This is exactly what I was looking for the section after this. This is exactly what I wanted from this course, and I am not disappointed. The part that I am disappointed about is the path switching element in the last split section, which they put a bunch of walls in between. So you pick one and you kind of roll with it. I don't know. Not a big fan of this change. I think it's kind of fun to go up the walls and stuff, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Maybe I just need to get used to the change. because at least they did add the stuff that I liked in the first half, so there's that. Again, going back to the clever off-road positions, in between those two split paths, there is a little bit of a break in between with some more thwomps. That part has another off-road cut that you can take the turn even tighter, which I think is really cool. And then there's one at the end where you can get a lower trick, minimize the amount of airtime as possible as you get, but you also don't get the benefits of tricking on the thwomps, which is a cool little gameplay thing that they added too. Yeah, this course just has so much going for it, and even as the only Bowser's Castle rep, I gotta give it up. It's a pretty damn good one. I wish it was a little longer. I like this course so much, I just want to play more of it, you know what I mean? But it still gets a 9 out of 10. Really, really cool stuff. I wish there was a little more they kept from the original, but I think the general glow-up is still just a win for the course in general. And last, but certainly not least, Wii Rainbow Road. Did you know this is the 5th one? 5 Rainbow Roads. And what a way to finish it off, with a lot of attention to detail being put to this course. They kept a bunch of the Wii tech in here, which I wasn't expecting, actually. And they even added this little nostalgia bit where you fall into the stratosphere, flame up before Lakitu pulls you back in. I didn't think they'd add that because of the whole respawn system, but I think it's really cool that they did. A lot of people mentioned that they thought that this course was made a lot easier, but I think that's just a combination of, at least personally speaking, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe having more generous controls, and you as the player having stronger fundamentals than you did back when the course came out originally. Another thing I really like is the visuals. I love the flooring and tiling of the floor. It's like what SNES Rainbow Road did, but even more glossy. Coin route is also surprisingly simple, which is nice. You can get the first 10 coins relatively quickly, and there's a lot near the start where you can make it pretty flexible online. It's also a pretty long course. I think it was also in Wii, but it feels a lot longer in 8. I don't know why. But yeah, going back to the tech thing, you can do the side tricks. You can do the little gap jump right after it. You can take the half pipe jump tighter and even trick off of it too. But I think you have to late trick it. I think I was watching the world record strat, and I think they trick late so that you get the speed boost when you land, because I think you kind of like clip through it if you do it too early, so it doesn't give you the speed boost. I don't know, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, to reiterate, from the attention to detail, the visuals, the gameplay, especially how it translates into 8 with the new coin routes and stuff, this was a blast to play through. I really like this one. I still think I like SNES BC3 and Piranha Plant Cove over it, because I think in comparison to Wii Rainbow Road, Cove and BC3 are very flexible in how you can tackle the course, and I really like that in course design, whereas Wii Rainbow Road is pretty straightforward. However, I do like the tech. If it didn't have the tech, I think it would have been an 8.5, but I think I'm gonna give it a 9 as well, along with those 2 courses that I brought up. Really, really fun. Okay, so that was all 8 courses. Now let's jump into the character discussions. First of all, elephant in the room, no one got patched. So, besides invincibility buffs, which don't really matter, I don't think. I mean, they didn't matter when Waluigi got, like, no iframes in Wave 2, so I don't think it'll matter now. But yeah, no one got any speed or MT changes, so I think this is all we're gonna get in terms of updates to the gameplay, which means that no, you probably won't see as many Funky Kong players online as you thought you were. Why? Because he shares the stats as Wario and Dry Bowser, I think. Yeah, because I think it's Bowser, Morton, and Large Me, and then now it's Wario, Funky Kong, and Dry Bowser. Editors probably confirmed or denied this at this point, which is also me. Pauline shares the stats with all the other cruiserweights, so she'll be pretty good. I think, honestly, you might see more Pauline than Funky Kong online at, like, higher levels. I forget who Diddy Kong shares stats with. I have like a link for it. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Diddy Kong shares its stats with Cat Peach, Inkling Girl, and Villager Female, interestingly enough. So he's gonna be okay as well. But Peachette, I think, is the funniest winner of this, because she shares stats with, take a guess, that's right, Toadette. No, I'm kidding, it's Peach. Which means she's meta, baby! Let's go! Peachette haters punching the air right now. I just think it's really funny. Everyone was kind of just like, who? Why? Toadette was meta once, she can do it again. So yeah, I think the only interesting character adds are gonna be Pauline and Peachette in terms of how close they are to the current meta. Funky Kong and Diddy Kong are still pretty good, they're still pretty usable, but I think they are, and I should probably add a huge disclaimer, again, I'm not a pro player, I don't know how the meta is gonna be like, this is like a outsider's perspective, outsider's theory on what little bits of the meta that I have understood from my few experiences in competitive gameplay. So take this with a grain of salt. But yeah, I don't think Funky Kong and Diddy Kong will be that viable considering Wario and stuff is usually for some of the speed time trials like Moonview Highway, and I think now that's what Wii Rainbow Road is looking to be. And the female crossover cast haven't really been talked about. I really only saw a lot of people talk about the male character crossover cast when the Wave 5 changes came out. But they definitely have the stats, I think, to compete in like a general lobby. If you're just playing with your friends, character picks doesn't really matter. This is sort of like what I think top VR rooms are gonna look like. At lower VR, people are probably still gonna pick Funky Kong because it's funny. But yeah, that's it for the characters. And now let's talk about the extra features. They added a jukebox, which I think is really fun. I'm not sure how customizable it is. I don't know if you can listen to the final lap music. I think it's just the regular stuff, but I haven't really played around with it that much, admittedly, so it's cool that it's there at least. And then they added room IDs, which I think is an amazing change. Gone are the days where you have to share your friend code with everyone who wants to play. Unless there's like friend overlap and they can join from friends of friends of friends sort of thing. But yeah, this should also make for hosting lounge sessions a lot easier, because you don't have to add everyone's friend codes individually and you can kind of just like share the room ID, everyone join the room ID and everyone kind of just join. This will make things so much easier, which is so great. And lastly, the one everyone's talking about, the modifications to item distribution when you are stopped or in reverse. In other words, Nintendo has acknowledged and nerfed bagging. So, Mr. Sometimes Casual, Sometimes Competitive Player, what do you think about this? I've mentioned a couple times that I feel like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a very front-runny game compared to, well, I guess I can only really say Mario Kart Wii, because that's the only game where that I play regularly. And I see a lot of people saying, yeah, that's a good thing, you know, you are supposed to race in the racing game. And I thought about it more, and I agree. I agree in the sense that it's kind of funny how many people bag on courses like Cheeseland and stuff, and then you kind of just see the entire minimap huddle around the first item set. But yeah, I was kind of like weird about it at first, because I like when courses are diverse. You have front-running courses, you have your neutral courses, and then you have your counter-pick courses, where if you are in the back of the lobby, then you would pick these courses to try and get power items because you're already in the back of the lobby and then you get back into the game. But that's the thing. I mentioned counter-pick courses, not bagging. I know the proper term for these courses are bagging courses, but I think the idea of them being more counter-pick courses for the people in the back, or to classify it as a course that favors the people in the back more than those in the front, I think helps keep the game healthy. So that if you playing in a room with people that know the linings really well and stuff, if they get first and then they kind of just run every single other course in the GP after that, it doesn't feel that over-central. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm like explaining this right. But yeah, with that realization, I kind of realized bagging was kind of just whatever to me, because I don't really care about the bagging strat overall. I'm not at a level where I feel like I have to use this to win races. And when I do acknowledge it, I usually treat it as like a neat party trick. Like whenever we're on Dry Desert, I'm like, hey, check this out. And I get like power items. And then I kind of just drive through all of the off-road. But other than that, I never really bagged super seriously. However, my main issue with this change is I'm worried about what it's going to mean for other strategies that aren't bagging, that are more, in my opinion, akin to the integrity of a racing game, I guess. They fit more into that than bagging would. And that is item cycling. For example, let's say you are in 2nd place and you get blasted all the way down to 6th place. I find that item distribution does not really favor players in middle spots compared to the lower spots. So maybe you would just hide around back in 6th as you wait for a couple more people to pass you. Then once you get to like 8th or 9th, then you get an item box and try to get a better item to get back into the game. It's not comparable to bagging, but it's sort of like, and I'm kind of worried that they're gonna nerf that option, because I think it was really cool that there was this risk reward where it's like, okay, am I content with finishing the course in 5th to 7th place? Again, just a general range. Or do I want to risk getting a lower spot to get a better item and maybe get something even higher than 5th? So I thought that strategy was really cool to not completely screw over people in middle spots. And then there's also the item cycling when maybe you have like 2 mushrooms, right? And then you're right about to approach the item box or the double box and you're like, okay, I want to reset my items and I want to get 2 brand new items, right? Then you would slow down and then mash your mushroom items immediately as you enter the double boxes, hoping to get an item that is potentially not a single mushroom and banana sort of situation. Because I'm not entirely sure how the game determines whether you're bagging or you're cycling, because I don't think Nintendo cares if there's a difference, right? And I think it sucks if they also nerf those sorts of strategies, because I feel like you're still racing, right? You're just risking yourself in the middle of the race to reroll for better items and then potentially get a higher spot because you took that risk, or even get an even lower spot because you didn't get the items and now you kind of just have a golden mushroom in your first slot and you're kind of just like, well, guess I'm getting 9th. But yeah, that's just something that I wanted to discuss, bring or add to the discussion. But no matter what your take on bagging or item cycling is, a lot of people get pretty vocal about this game, I think. Whether that be about everyone's favorite character cart combination, or the fact that someone should have simply played better during that 2v2. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting or thinking about being good at something, and on the other side of the coin, I don't think there's anything wrong with being content with playing the game for fun with silly, wacky, crazy rules. Because at the end of the day, you are meeting your end goal, which is having fun with the game. Play at your own pace, right? There's so many different ways to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and none of these ways, I think, are any more right or wrong than the other. Grind those time trial strats if you want, or play Baby Peach on the hot monster wheels. I think different playstyles and strategies help showcase depth of a game, even if it means taking advantage of a course's design using stronger items, or playing the game in unconventional methods as a way to spice things up. But hey, I'm just a guy who spent way too much time learning strategies for a children's party game. What do I know? Not enough. And I think that's everything for the Wave 6 ranking and overview, update overview. I know I kind of ended off this video with more of a hot take. Again, I'm not a pro player, but anyway, besides that, I just want to thank you all so much for joining me on this ride for these last 2 years. Talking about the Booster Course Pass has been a lot of fun for me, and it means a lot that a lot of you didn't mind listening to my hot takes about Maple Treeway or bagging or Toad Circuit, and that you guys decided to stick around anyways through my partially unscripted ramblings. I still have a lot more that I want to talk about for this game. I don't think like discussion stuff for this game is done. I think there's a lot to revisit, especially within the Booster Course Pass, that I would like to talk about. So if you like these sort of unscripted video rants about my opinions of a children's party game, be sure to subscribe to the second channel. And if you want to see more edited gameplay and stuff from me, main channel is right there. I'm plugging the main channel twice. Yeah, that's it, I believe. Once again, a big heartfelt thank you to everyone who listened to this random guy on the internet. I hope you guys got something out of it, maybe a couple laughs, a couple interesting perspectives. And yeah, that's been an hour and 13 minutes of me talking. I'm about to hit the 1 hour, 14 minute mark. So I'm gonna end it off here. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.